In the hills of northern Israel, the wind howled through caves, said to whisper with the voices of the dead. One woman dared to listen, and something answered. They called her a necromancer, a medium, a witch. But the Bible's account of the Witch of Endor isn't folklore. It's proof that the unseen world is terrifyingly real.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
And some things that should not have been forgotten were lost.
Man shall be ruled by law, not by the will of other men.
What is it? An ark. To hold the innocent. And the Creator sends his deluge to wipe out the wicked from this world.
The Lord of hosts will do battle for us. Behold his mighty hand.
The Witch of Endor stands as one of the most mysterious figures in all of Scripture. Her encounter with King Saul in 1 Samuel 28 reveals a night where desperation met the supernatural, and the line between life and death was crossed. But behind this story lies something deeper, an ancient world filled with necromancy, underworld rituals, and humanity's oldest temptation, to seek knowledge outside of God. The world has always been haunted by one question: what lies beyond the grave? From the temples of Mesopotamia to the modern psychic's parlor, humanity has tried to force open the veil that God himself closed. The unseen realm isn't a metaphor. It's the spiritual dimension Scripture describes again and again. Angels, demons, disembodied spirits are not poetic devices, they're real. Intelligent beings operating under divine permission or rebellion. But here's the danger. The Bible warns that seeking them through magic, spiritism, or necromancy isn't harmless curiosity. It's a spiritual rebellion. Do not turn to mediums or necromancers. Do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 19:31. So when Saul, the first king of Israel, stood at the edge of his downfall, he didn't seek the living God, he sought the dead. And in doing so, he crossed into the same darkness that swallowed the nations that Israel was commanded to destroy. But to understand the Witch of Endor, we need to understand her world. In the ancient Near East, necromancy wasn't superstition, it was a system. Clay tablets from Babylon and Nineveh record incantations for calling the spirits of the dead, called etemu. Priests, known as ashapu, would dig ritual pits and pour offerings of water, honey, or blood, and summon ancestral ghosts to answer questions about war, weather, or destiny. In Hittite Anatolia, archaeologists uncovered texts describing old women or keepers of the pit, who called upon the underworld gods. Their ceremonies involved black animals, night vigils, and invocation of the ladder, a symbolic passage for spirits to ascend. At Ugarit, on the Canaanite coast, the disembodied Nephilim kings, the Rephaim, were honored with nocturnal feasts, and they believed the shades of their ancestors could guide or curse the living. Even Egypt joined the spiritual traffic. Egyptians wrote letters to the dead, pleading with deceased relatives for justice, healing, or vengeance. Some papyri even describe rituals of summoning spirits by name through lamps or oil bowls, what scholars call lamp divination. So when 1 Samuel 28 describes the woman of Endor as Baalet Ov, literally mistress of the spirit pit, it fits perfectly into this cultural framework. She wasn't the only one of her kind, but she was the only one bold enough or desperate enough to face a king who had once outlawed her craft. You see, by the time Saul sought her out, his kingdom was collapsing. Samuel, the prophet who once anointed him, was dead. The Philistines massed for battle, and worst of all, God was silent. When Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. 1 Samuel 28:6. So Saul disguises himself. He crosses enemy lines and finds the woman at Endor. The irony is thick here. This is the same king who had purged Israel of witches and necromancers, yet now, dressed as a commoner, he whispers to her,
"Divine from me a spirit, and bring up from me whomever I shall name to you."
The woman hesitates. She's terrified. She knows that necromancy carries a death sentence. But Saul swears an oath by the very name of God that she will not die for what she's about to do. So she begins her ritual. Maybe she opened a pit, she whispered invocations or lit lamps, as was the custom in Canaanite times, but the Bible doesn't say how. It only tells us that when the spirit appeared, she screamed.
"I see a god coming up out of the earth,"
she says in 1 Samuel 28:13. In the original Hebrew, the word she uses here is Elohim, usually meaning God or divine being. It's significant, and it's hinting that she saw something far beyond her usual expectations. The spirit rose, cloaked in Samuel's robe. Saul bowed to the ground, and from the grave, Samuel, or what looked like him, spoke.
"Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me."
Scholars and theologians have wrestled with the scene for centuries. Was it truly Samuel, or a demonic imitation permitting to deliver God's message of judgment? Early church fathers like Augustine and Origen believed God allowed the real Samuel to appear, not by the witch's power, but by divine intervention. The reformers, including Calvin and Luther, argued it was a demonic deception, a counterfeit spirit mimicking the prophet. Rabbinic tradition even suggests the witch was shocked because she saw Samuel rising upward instead of upside down, as lesser spirits supposedly did, a sign that God, not she, controlled this whole encounter. So, no matter the interpretation though, all agree on one thing, that Saul gained no wisdom, only confirmation of his doom. He had sought a voice outside of God and found only the echo of his own judgment. For centuries, skeptics dismissed biblical accounts of necromancy as primitive folklore, but archaeology has proven otherwise. In Te'oam Cave in the Judean hills just west of Jerusalem, researchers have uncovered over 120 intact oil lamps, ritual weapons, and fragments of human skulls dating from the 3rd to 5th centuries AD. The evidence points to necromantic rituals conducted by those who believed caves were gateways to the underworld. Ancient Greek historians describe similar oracles of the dead, like the Necromantion of Acheron in Epirus, where priests guided visitors through dark tunnels and performed sacrifices to summon ghostly voices from the depths. Even in Mesopotamian texts, the Pit of Ghosts, or Bit Halani, was a recognized place of ritual communication with the underworld. The Witch of Endor, then, wasn't an anomaly. She was part of a long and grim tradition of humanity's fascination with forbidden contact. The night Saul visited the Witch of Endor was the night Israel's first dynasty died. The next day, Saul and his sons fell in the battle at Mount Gilboa, just as the spirit had foretold. But the story's horror goes deeper. The witch herself, a figure meant to embody rebellion, became the witness of divine power she couldn't control. She saw something that night that shattered her craft. She expected manipulation, but met manifestation. It's as though God reached into the witch's pit and said, "Even here I am Lord." See, this is the paradox of Endor. Even the dark arts must bow to the sovereignty of the Almighty. In this moment, the summoning of the dead prophet, it stands alone in Scripture. No other biblical text describes a successful act of necromancy. Every other time it's condemned as fraud or demonic delusion. But at Endor, God used the forbidden to pronounce final judgment. That's what makes it so chilling. The veil lifted, not because man had power, but because God allowed it, for a moment, to show Saul the cost of his rebellion. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and presumption is as iniquity and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected you from being king. 1 Samuel 15:23. Saul had committed both. Endor was simply the harvest of seeds he had already sown. The Witch of Endor story is not ancient superstition, it's a mirror. It shows that humanity hasn't changed. The tools have, but the heart hasn't. Today, necromancy wears modern clothes. We call it communication, or energy work, or ancestor veneration. We test the spirits through meditation apps or seance live streams, but the power behind them is no different than it was back then. The Bible doesn't mock these practices. It warns against them because they are very real, but not in the way you think. They open doors, they invite deception, and behind that deception stands the same enemy who whispered in Eden, "You will not surely die." Endor proves that the sin's cost isn't just moral, it's cosmic. And to seek truth apart from the Creator is to listen to voices that only echo your ruin. The Witch of Endor's story endures because it forces us to confront the reality of the unseen realm. You see, it's not mythology, it's theology, and it's written in blood and fear. There is life beyond the grave, and there is power beyond our sight, and there is judgment for those who reach for it outside of God's will. But what do you think really happened that night? Was it truly Samuel's spirit, or was it something darker pretending to be divine? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story opened your eyes to the unseen war raging around us, then hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications too, so you don't miss my next video. I try to post a new topic every week, Lord willing. In the meantime, click right over here for my full playlist on spiritual warfare, where we'll uncover how ancient gods and fallen powers still shape our world today. And remember to seek the concealed glory of God alone, so that we may more fully bear His image and take the light into the dark.